Welcome to In the Game, Qatar's first sports podcast, featuring inspiring professionals and athletes from different sports industries around Qatar. Hosted by Steve Mackey. In this episode, Steve chats with a very young man indeed, with a passion for the beautiful game and a great idea for helping young talent get noticed. Please welcome onto the show, Kian Darwell-Taylor.
My name is Darwell-Taylor. I'm 15 years old and I've played football all my life.
Yeah. Something that can make you do wrong, make you do right. Yeah.
I've always been on the cusp of playing for an academy. I've had a trial at Chelsea before and learnt a lot from that. As a player, it's very difficult to break through into the academy system. Having an app such as Bescouted offers players like myself an opportunity to showcase our talent straight to the eyes of clubs, agents and scouts without them being present at our game. I'm really looking forward to getting my videos uploaded and seeing where it can take me.
Hello and welcome to In the Game, Qatar's first sports podcast. Today, as always, we've got a very special young man on the show. He's going to be talking to us all about his app that he's devised. So I'm going to get straight into it. So, Kian, welcome to the show. Can you introduce yourself to everybody?
Thank you very much for having me. My name's Kian Darwell-Taylor. I'm the founder of Bescouted. We've just launched about a month ago in the UK. We are an app for aspiring footballers to upload footage of themselves, and we link them to industry personnel.
That's just incredible, and I'm taken back by this all because how old are you? And I'm sorry to bring your age up, but how old are you again? How old are you?
18, so 19 next month. 19
next month. So you've put this app together. Why was it, and we're going to get into the app, but why did you put it together in the first place?
For me, it was, I used to play football a lot. I was playing, I'd say, I wasn't at super high levels. I was at county level within the United Kingdom, and I had trial at a couple of clubs. And for me, I found that, getting into football is not easy whatsoever. Anyone knows that, but there was nothing. There's this persona about scouts, and they're not at many games. That's the truthful. That's what it is. And for me, it was finding something. I thought, imagine, the way we're moving now in 2020 and so on, is everything is going kind of online. Everything that can go online is. And I thought, there's nothing out there, with the coronavirus. One thing I found, especially this year, is that a lot of football scouts are looking at video analysis. And I thought, there is a market for that. There must be a way that they can view multiple players within a country or multiple countries via videos rather than sending scouts to games. And for me, that was one thing. It came from a passion of playing, and I would almost say a slight frustration of the game, of me not being able to get to where I wanted to be. I was one of these players that I probably, looking back on it, I should have put in a lot more effort. And, there is a lot of stuff with football that you need to do off the ball. But I have friends, family. My brother at the moment's going through a phase where he's 16 and he wants to go and play abroad and all of this. And it's just, I wanted to see if I could find an opportunity for players to access scouts via an app, which is what we are trying to do now. And it's a very simple concept in the fact that you create a profile, you upload your footage, depending on how much you want to upload a month, and then the scouts have a filter system. So, for example, if they're looking for a 16-year-old striker, they put that in, and all the 16-year-old strikers, whether it's in a county. So, for example, at the moment, we're only in the United Kingdom. We've only launched there. So if someone in London is looking for a 16-year-old striker, they put that in, everyone within that location comes up. And we just want to try and almost streamline the process of the recruitment system. Don't get me wrong, I believe that scouts shall always, their eyesight in person will always define a player for sure. But we want to add a little bit of kind of visual representation before a scout goes to see a player. So rather than a scout going to a random game on a weekend that they get sent to, go and watch someone that they've actually seen videos of, and they can pull apart them playing and say, look, he's good at this, he's good at that, let's go see him in person. And that's kind of where the idea came from, is a passion, really.
And at the beginning of the show, we showed the video, and just to let everybody know, your brother is the guy in the video. Yeah,
so for me, it was, first of all, it was, of course, easier because it was my brother. But for me, it was something that he is going through it now. I mean, I've just come back from taking him to football. He's just starting at a college where he's doing education alongside football. And for me, that was something that he is the genuine, that is what he's doing now, and he wants to make it in football, and he's trying to find different pathways that will help get him to where he wants to be. And that's why I felt it was very relatable, and he was obviously quite happy to be in the video, and he's posted it everywhere and all his friends have seen it. So.
He looks pretty good too, Darry.
Yeah.
He looks amazing.
Yeah.
I thought it was really, really good, and I can't wait for people to see it. They'll see it. Well, obviously they would have seen it by now. But no, he looks very, very good. But I want to now go back a bit. So you're 18 years old. Okay.
Yeah.
When did this journey all begin for you? When did it begin for you where you thought to yourself, aha, I've got an idea?
So for me, it was actually my dad and myself back end of November last year. And what we were actually doing, where it started, is we were actually in the car on the way up to Leeds, which is the university I'm going to study at. And we were having, my dad is he's a businessman. He has been for years, and he's run very successful businesses. And we had this conversation, and it was the kind of conversation. He was like, why don't we do it? And we both, he kind of had a little idea, I had an idea, and we just started speaking. And it was a very kind of passionate conversation where there was so many ideas rolling off our tongues. And so the app was actually created in India. And this was due to the fact, obviously, it is cheaper there. But also my dad has a contact out there, Aldrin, who's one of our investors as well and partners in the company, one of the founders. And he was our project manager. So we called Aldrin in the car that day. And we said, look, we've got this idea. He was like, I love it. He was like, I know people out here that I can outsource to do it. That's where it started. 2 weeks later, the company was incorporated in the UK as a limited company. And that's where it started. And for me, that kind of the fact it was started on a 4-hour journey to a university that I'm going to be spending 3 years at now is quite kind of, it's quite a nice feeling. So as I say, we were in research and development for quite a long time, just looking at the market, finding out the best ways. I trialed it with some players that I knew, my brother's age, and we were just trying to find, is this useful to players? And 100% of the feedback was yes. If this does the job that we want it to do, there's a massive market for it. And so we launched at the end of July. So that would have been just under 12 months, with research and development, all of that kind of stuff, to where we are right now.
And how difficult was it to, so you and your dad was, and I've got to say fair play to your dad. It's like try and think about these things and having a conversation with your dad for 4 hours. It's like, I got to tell my kids to have a conversation with me for 4 hours. But that must have been really good and really great for you to then feel that you had the support to follow this up.
For sure, yeah, because the thing is, out of all my brothers, I'd say I've always had a passion for business. So my two main passions since I started studying business in GCSEs in school and A-level, I've always had a passion for it, everything about it, making money, all of this kind of stuff, just general business. And my dad being a businessman, running businesses, I've always had that sort of common interest with him. And it was just something where for the first time we were like, why not? And I was like, let's do this. And he's sort of helped me via overseeing everything. And, he's a main part in the company because he sees everything that goes on. And he has this experience that I don't have, which is why I'd say we've done quite well to get it launched and how it has launched.
And just so that we could see on your jersey, we've got Be Scouted. And that's
Yeah. So that's the logo. Yeah.
Yeah, nice one. And bescouted.co.uk or .com?
The website is Bescouted.Football.
Ah, wonder. I remember.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry, but that's a great kind of domain name, right?
Yeah, so we managed, my project manager Aldrin managed to sort all our domains and websites and emails, etc. Which is why what I want to touch upon as well is Aldrin has been a massive part of this, because without Aldrin, I'm not a techie person. I don't have much, knowledge within the tech space. So having someone that could manage it and give us genuine opinions on what we need to do, with also having him the founder of the company, was massive for us. And the fact it was being run made in India, with him managing it, was just made the process so much smoother.
Kian, let me tell you something. Just listening to you right now and then putting praise on other parts of members of your team is a huge advantage. And I give you credit, because that is so important. What was the hardest thing for you with all of this? What was the kind of, what was the hardest process? If for anybody that's listening out there that's thinking about starting up an app, what was the most difficult stage that you went through with this?
Just the starting, I've for years, I've had ideas that you just think about and you write down, but it's actually just doing it. And it sounds so easy to any business. It sounds so easy, just do it. It's not. It's about sorting things out. It's about finding the financial backing to do it. It's all of these different kind of, not problems, but things you don't think about right at the start come into play. And for me, it was just getting it. Once we got the idea going and we found people that were going to develop the app for us, that made it much easier. But to start with, it was just like, you need to make sure the idea is everything you want. You need to look at all aspects of the app, what could go wrong, what you want to include, because we needed to make it from the start. It is something that we can change. We've changed, we've had an update on the app already where we fixed a couple of bug issues and stuff. But it's something, with an app, you want to be very clear from the start what the concept is and try not to chop and change all the time. And I would say for anyone kind of starting a business, that's one thing, because there is certain things you just cannot think about, certain issues that might arise. For example, the global pandemic for us, it didn't affect us too much, to be honest with you, because we were still in the development stage. But the fact people they weren't playing football. We were in lockdown in the UK. People weren't out playing football, so therefore there wasn't any videos. So hence why we pushed our launch back a few months. We were planning to launch in March, but it just wasn't the right time. And this also, this gave me personally, because I was going through college at the time, so I would have had exams. So for me, it actually gave me a lot of time when I was in lockdown to sit there on my laptop, networking with people, setting up emails, just getting on sort of name out there a little bit and managing things, which for me made it a little bit easier because I had that time to do it. But yeah, I would just say it's the hardest thing is starting, is saying, look, I'm going to do this. I'm going to put all my eggs in one basket and go for it. And yeah, I was kind of, I had the support to do it, and that's what happened.
And how many people told you that it's just not needed in the marketplace? Or how many people said, forget it?
Yeah, there wasn't, to be honest with you, there wasn't a whole lot. The response I got from, for example, I went through a stage of networking with a lot of people, especially on LinkedIn, how we met. And for me, I'm one of these people, I put so much time into LinkedIn. I've almost got over like 10,000 connections. I think I think the fact with CEOs of massive companies and people like you who are in a completely different country, et cetera, is so amazing to me. And my network is quite big now on there. And for me, that was quite important. And I had a couple of people, say that it's difficult. You need to speak to the right people to take this off. But a lot of people said, if you can get footage of grassroots players in the UK that believe they have the talent, we will view it. There is a massive market. And I'm talking, this is coming from one of the top clubs in the UK. And that is one of the quotes on our website, actually, is the fact that that, you know, they do look at footage. It's just not that easy to access. For example, one of our important quotes comes from one of the top clubs in the UK, and he's a scout there, and he says that even the wealthiest clubs in the country cannot afford to have a scout at every single game in the United Kingdom every weekend, which is understandable because they can't. And for us, that was a massive factor, is because if we can put thousands of videos and thousands of different players on an app for people to view, and on a website for industry personnel to view, where they can get through probably 100 different players within an hour, then they can't do that in real world football. They can't go to a game. A game is an hour and a half. That would be 1 or 2 players they might be looking at there. Whereas we give them an option to get through way more, so many more. And for me, it was sort of motivation for me, is the fact that I had so many amazing responses from these people saying, if you can do this, it's so valuable. And for me, that was just like, I need to do this right. I need to make it something that can launch and get the response we want. So yeah, I wouldn't say I didn't get knocked back as much as I believed I would. I thought, a lot of people are going to be like, this idea is kind of already done, which it's not. And, all this kind of stuff. But I'd say we didn't get much of that, to be fair.
And did you ever doubt yourself during that period?
I don't think I did. I think I'm one of these people, if I have a goal and I have a vision, I'll put everything into it. So that's always been how I've been, in subjects in school. If I'm not really interested in it, I probably didn't try as hard as I should have done. Whereas subjects that I found a passion in, I would put my all into it, and you would see by the end of achievement that I have put my all into it. And I think that's just how I work. And for me, there wasn't much doubt. It was just, look, it's my first business venture at the age of 18. I'd rather risk and make mistakes now than when I'm 40 and I've got other things going on.
Nice one.
So yeah, that was kind of my motivation, really.
And let me, before we talk a little bit about LinkedIn, because I think it's huge too. You said earlier about why you got involved in it, and you were a footballer at county level. So what did you mean about that you didn't really take it that serious, or you wish you would have?
It wasn't I didn't take it serious. I just think at one point in my sort of football career, I probably could have gone somewhere potentially with it. And what I mean by this is, I think football now, you have to take it if you want to become within the professional system, especially in England right now, you have to put in the work outside of football. You have to be, making sure that you're stretching outside of games, which is stuff you just don't think about. But when you get to my age, currently 18, you realize that if you stop playing, your fitness levels, all of this kind of stuff. And I think there's so much with it that I wish I dedicated time to. I wish I started training on my own, potentially getting personal coaches, all of this kind of stuff, and investing in myself to kind of play. And I regret it a little bit. But also it gave me the kind of passion to think, I want to help people get to where they should be. Because when I was playing, I knew, loads of kids my age, that some were personal friends, some were players I just saw, that weren't playing where they deserved to be playing. They should have been playing within academies. And I also knew people within academies that I don't personally think should have been there. And when I could put 2 of the same players next to each other, one in an academy, one not, and say that this guy should be, whereas the guy in the academy shouldn't be, it was quite sort of frustrating. And I think that for me was kind of, because I've always had a passion for football, and I've supported Chelsea since I was young. I've had season tickets kind of my whole life. I've always had that passion for football. That kind of, I wouldn't say I regret it. I would just say I kind of wish I did things a little bit differently to see where I could have gone with it. But I think that's the same with so many people now, is kind of, they get to a certain age and they're like, I wish I kind of put more effort in.
Now, it's wonderful to listen to you as a young man, and you're just starting out. It's like you're 18.
Yeah.
It's like, so much. It's like there'd be a lot of people that's looking up and saying, what do you know about it? What is it that but you've got passion, you've got desire, you've got all those attributes. Why not go out there and try and change the world?
And I think that's something, it's just because I kind of have that attitude of if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But if I don't try it, then, you know, especially with business and this being my first kind of venture, if it doesn't work, it kind of, you know, it just doesn't work. But I would rather know that by trying and putting my all into it. And having the response I've had, as I say, with, like, you know, from industry personnel saying this could be massive, all of this kind of stuff, it just motivates me more. And it's just kind of an attribute, I guess, I have.
Do you ever get carried away with it so that you think, because I think it's going to be a tremendous app. It's like, it just, when I'm talking to you now, it just makes perfect sense with everything you're saying to me. And it's great that you've learned it from experience, and now you're trying to help your brother, like just the little things, like you say that you've just taken your brother to practice. It's like, it's kind of, how far do you think this could go?
To be honest, it's one of these things that I don't get me wrong, I've looked massively into the future and sort of made figures and made goals of what I want it to be. But right now we're in the moment where we have the app developed and we want to, it's the initial, the next couple of months are massive. How we get it into football clubs, to suggest to their players to use it, how we market it, all this kind of stuff, especially on such a low budget, because, you know, a lot of companies have a lot of financial backing and investment and they can throw money into ads and all of this kind of stuff. For us, we're very small. And I think I, you know, I have, like I say, I've looked into the future, but right now I'm in the now moment. You know, I've got to do things right. And touching upon that, what one move we kind of made is we've teamed up with a company in the UK called Breakthrough-Football Academy. They're based in Essex, and I met the lady again via LinkedIn, and her name's Nicola, and she's a coach at West Ham for the women's under-18s. And she has the contacts, and she also has the kind of, so what they've launched, Breakthrough, is an academy for players to go to. So they run events for kids with tremendous coaching. They have mental health awareness people come down, physios come down to give all this kind of information. And for me, that was massive, because I thought we have this online presence, but we want to have a physical presence within the UK. So for them, what we're doing is we work alongside them. We've partnered with them. So at their events, I'm going to be attending their events. And if there is kids at these events that we see with talent, we have the contacts and we recommend them to use Be Scouted. And for us, this was a massive thing because Nicola has such a great reputation. And her business partner, Alex, comes from a sort of legal background. So we've got all these different people coming together that just fit. So for us, that was massive in us sort of propelling forward. And they're hopefully, obviously with the coronavirus and stuff, they've had to push back their events. But when these events run, the players that attend them are gonna kind of associate with Be Scouted, and we're gonna recommend them to watch, to use our app and stuff. And that's what we're doing right now to push forward. But yeah, it's hard to look so far into the future when we've just launched. And that's something that I think I'm quite grounded, and that's right now I'm trying to work on it and make sure that we have the best few next months that we can.
And how many people have you got on your app at the moment?
Currently, I believe we've got just over 100 players. And that's from no advertisement. That's just kind of word of mouth. And as I say, it's not many. But right now we haven't put a penny into marketing, and we're looking to grow organically, which is really difficult. You know, anyone in business know it's probably one of the most difficult ways to do it is grow organically. But for me, that will be a massive learning curve, and I think that would be quite a good learning curve.
I'm definitely going to introduce you to a guy called Jason Stevens. He's part of the hashtag United in Basildon.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, so he looks after the ladies team.
With I believe Spencer, someone runs it, doesn't he?
Yeah, like that, it's amazing what they're doing. So I'm going to introduce you to Jason Stevens, because he's incredible, and he
that'd be amazing.
Really is. From a coaching perspective, he would give you as much of his help and assistance as possible. So there's another guy I'll introduce you to, and now that you've got over 100 people putting their stuff onto your app. That's going to be, if this catches on, it's going to be thousands.
Well, as I say, you know, that's our aim. We're trying to get, because when we started, we're in a situation of sort of chicken, the egg, what comes first. If we don't have the players, we can't get the industry personnel. And if we don't have the industry personnel, the players have no motivation to sort of upload. And that's why we offered a free trial for industry personnel to get them on our platform. So what they have is an exclusive sort of web portal where they can view, as I say, with a sort of filter system, view all the players. And that is done via verification of a Bescouted account manager. So for example, not anyone can access this. We sort of verify them, where they are in the industry, what they do, and why they would want to use the platform. Just because, you know, we don't just want kids uploading videos to random people watching them, and that's sort of one key thing when we started, was making that clear. So we've got a couple of scouts on there now. I can't unfortunately say what clubs they're from, etc., but we are growing, and my network is growing within the football in the UK to get more scouts on board. And again, this more will come when we have more players using the platform.
Okay, so let's touch on social media. And we said that we were going to come back to LinkedIn. And just for the people, I want this for the people of your age, or the people that are thinking about getting into business or having a startup. Okay, so how important is social media, and specifically LinkedIn? How important is it to where you stand today?
It's quite interesting, because I actually had a chat about a week ago with one of my best friends about LinkedIn. And it wasn't a heated chat. It was just, I'm very passionate about it. And I have been one of these people, the last couple of years, I've put more time into my LinkedIn than my Instagram. And this was the conversation. And my Instagram's personal. It's photos of me and my family, my friends and stuff. And I just said, the fact that you can connect, like I say, with a CEO of a massive company in anywhere in the world and send them a message, whether they reply or not. On Instagram, you can do that. Chances of them replying, next to none. You'll go into their requested, where they've probably got thousands of other messages. Whereas on LinkedIn, you know, it goes directly to their inbox. They can just tap it and not view it. But for me, LinkedIn is massive. And I wanted to sort of, as I say, I've got close to 10,000, I think 9,700 connections on there. And these majority of them are within the football industry, you know, within different countries. And for me, it was just massive, because like yesterday, I'm looking now to sort of grow Bescouted by talking to football journalists and getting potentially an article or something written in the UK. And I put a post out yesterday, and I've already got so many messages from people saying, I know this person, so many journalists messaging me saying, what can I help you with? All of this kind of stuff. And I just wouldn't get that anywhere else. And I think it's so important for my age as well, just to get on there. You don't, you know, my work experience on there, I've got stuff when I was waitering in a restaurant, you know, it all builds you as a person. And, you know, your grades from exams, all of this kind of stuff. But if you're on there and you're actually connecting with people, like, for example, I've been for coffees with people from the local area, from where I am, just below London. And I've been for coffees with people that are not in an industry I'm that interested in, but just to meet them. And the amount of people that, you know people that you want to get to know is amazing. And it's just networking. And for me, that was something that I've put so much time into. As I say, with LinkedIn specifically, like, I just couldn't recommend it more.
I'm with you, because and there's stuff that you're saying now that don't expect LinkedIn to work for you unless you're putting the work in. Unless you're thanking people for inviting you to join their network, unless you're thanking and saying hello to people and congratulating people and communicating with people, what do you expect? You have to put the time and effort in.
It's like anything, you know, you have to put the time and effort in. And also with your account, no one's just going to accept you for the sake of you know, your account having no picture, no previous experience. It doesn't benefit them. Whereas for me now, I'm very lucky, because I've grown it so much. I have connections, like mutual connections. Like when we connected, we had so many mutual connections, I assume, within the football industry. And that's very common for me now. So anyone I kind of connect with, I most likely have a mutual connection with them, which helps, because they're like, oh, you know, so-and-so knows them, all of this kind of stuff. And it's just, I just couldn't recommend putting enough time into it. And I don't regret putting the amount of time I put into it. Like, you don't need to spend money on it. You know, you don't need to do any of that.
We've got a group which I'll tell you how it all began with you was we've got a group called Qatar Sports Management and Business, and we kind of, anybody that wants to join, we've got to authorize them. We got to say, yeah, they're the people that we want to be included. We want people that's going to be an addition so that they can help others. And I saw your profile and I thought, this looks like a interesting young man. And then it all began with our journey. Yeah. It's like I connected with you, you accepted, and then it went all from there. I think you're an incredible young man. I think that there's so much coming to you just because of your work ethic. And for an 18-year-old, I think that's just incredible. Now, are you going to be doing this full time?
Yes. So as much as possible. So next week, actually, I move to university. I'm studying business sports management. So that's for the next 3 years, that course. And it's like an option of 4 years if I want to spend a year out and work within the industry. So for me, it was quite an important thing, because I'm not one of these people that wants to go into, when you leave college, I don't want to just go into work for the sake of earning money and doing a job I'm not going to like. And so I wanted to go to university. And for me, I now have, although I have a lot of work to do at university, I also have a lot of free time that gives me that time to spend on Be Scouted and grow it as much as possible, alongside learning a course that I can imagine I'm going to apply a lot of what I learn on the course to Be Scouted and running it day to day. So I will be putting a lot of time into it. Yeah, for sure.
But you're going to university. Why not just have it easy? Go to university and just do your course and then start it back up again. Why are you going to put yourself under all this pressure and oh my word, you're going to have to work. It's a double job.
I'm one of these people that I can, although people say they can't balance work life and sort of, having a social life, I sort of know the boundaries. I know when I need to work, but also I'm not one of these people where I just sit in 24 hours a day working and my friends message me and be like, let's go out, let's do this, and I'll turn it down. If that's the case, I'll always work around it. And I think to being, especially my age, there is a massive key to having that balance and weighing it up right. And I will enjoy myself, and I think I couldn't think of anything better than starting something like Be Scouted alongside the course that I'm doing, because everything I learn will be 100% applicable to what I'm doing. And I think it will work perfectly hand in hand. I don't think I'll have any issues with sort of managing it.
So,
and the people you meet as well, the networking going on, the people my age, the lecturers all coming from the football industry and the sports industry, it'll be massive networking for me as well.
I think as soon as you start, and you're already getting that snowball rolling, it's only going to get bigger and bigger. And what you'll do is you'll find that people want to come in and help you because they see the mission that you're on, and you are on a mission. It's like, I can tell that just from your brother's perspective. It's like, that's your ultimate goal, right? It's like helping him and people that are struggling within this industry. And you're, as you said, you're right to say that there's a lot of people that's struggling from a mental health perspective because they can't break through. But you're giving them a solution to at least get themselves out there if they think they're good enough. Yeah.
And that's one of the things. So with Breakthrough Academy, who we've partnered up with, that's the reason, the probably 80% of the reason we partnered up with them is when I had a chat with Nicola, the founder, everything we spoke about was so similar. They want to get players, in 2 years' time, they want to be able to say, I've helped him, her, all of these players that are going to be within the professional system that probably wouldn't have been there without either Breakthrough or Be Scouted. And that's the initial aim. Don't get me wrong, I would love Be Scouted to be something that I run full time, and it's a full-time job for me, and I am earning money from it. But right now it's about helping players like my brother, getting him to where he deserves to be, other players his age, players younger, all of that. That is the morals that we want. And touching upon mental health, one thing Nicola has sort of found is there are so many setbacks in football, And the event she's going to be running, she will have people from mental health backgrounds, experts, come down and talk to players about setbacks and the general reality of football. And that's one thing we want to get across to every player that sort of uses my platform, attends breakthrough events, is, you know, the reality of football, because a lot of it actually sounds so glamorous, sounds amazing. It's not. The chances of you making it is so slim. If you dedicate the time and put in the work and you have the raw talent, you know, and the mental capacity to do it, you know, you can make it, but it's so difficult to make it nowadays.
And you kind of, I am taken back, and I'm so glad that you came on the show today, because I think you're going to give people a real understanding of what you're prepared to do to get this working and what you've gone through. And yes, you've had a wonderful team that's helped you, but without you driving it, then people would have lost interest. So it's commendation to you, sir, because you've got that determination, you've got that, and you're starting to you're not starting, you've got a wonderful network, and it's just a matter of time that I believe. It really is a credit to you, and I really do. I feel proud of your dad, because he must be really proud of you too.
Yeah, I think it's something for me. It's amazing working kind of closely with him on it. Everything that kind of happens go through him, because, you know, he looks at it from such a different perspective to me. You know, he looks at it to running a business that I've never done before. And that's why as I said earlier, I'm so lucky with the team around me. Having Aldrin with any sort of tech issues or anything like that, having my dad run kind of, you know, look at overseeing things, and having myself, I believe, kind of in a sort of, as I'm 18, I know the trends going on social media. I know how social media runs. You know, I know sort of, I'd say, the online at the moment, the presence of it, and how to sort of work with that. And I feel like that's why we're kind of, you know, we're quite a good little team.
And I've got a few more questions to ask. Okay, one of them is, the one thing is how many is women and how many are men on your platform right now?
On our platform right now, I believe it's half and half, to be honest, or it might just, it might be slightly more men.
Okay, it's not. And that takes me on so this is a really, really positive thing, and I love what you're doing. How do they get in contact with you?
The players directly?
Yeah, how would they come onto your site, or how can they get on contact with you on, obviously, LinkedIn?
So me personally, we've got the LinkedIn, obviously my personal LinkedIn. For Be Scouted, we've kind of got a contact email. That's more for issues or questions about the sort of app and website as itself. To contact me, as I say, to contact me directly is LinkedIn. And we also, I run all the social media, the Instagram, the Facebook, the Twitter. So we've had actually a lot of people message us via that and say, look, when's it launching? How can it benefit me? What kind of subscription do you recommend me using? Can you view this video? And I actually have an account on the Scout portal. So I have been viewing every video that goes up on there. And I've messaged the vast majority of players, sending them an email saying thank you very much for sort of using the platform, and just kind of giving that personal touch while I can manage sort of everything.
It's so important. That personal touch is going to be everything. Let me tell you, it's going to be everything.
Yeah.
It's going to be everything. And just so that I can say this again, Bescouted.Football. Bescouted.Football. And is that the same on your Instagrams and everything?
Bescouted.Football on Instagram, Facebook, I believe, is just Be Scouted. So it's BE, so capital B-E, and then Scouted with a capital S. It's all one word. And reason for that is just, that's what we want to do is get players, you know, we want them to be scouted. And it kind of, you know, everyone I've spoken to, they're like, it has an amazing ring to it and stuff. And so we've had a positive response on the name.
I love your
obviously,
story. I'm so sorry to cut you off there, but I'm so impressed with your story, and I want this more so for people. It doesn't matter if it's in sport, but I just want to get that message out there about anybody can start a business. How important to you, and it's important to me, how important is it to do your market research, your research and development?
Probably the most important thing, because at the end of the day, the worst feeling, I mean, I haven't had it, but the worst feeling I can imagine is launching something and realizing there's something else that does it so similar. And don't get me wrong, from that you can take motivation of saying I want to do it better and I want to do it bigger and all of this, but it doesn't make it easy. And for me, it's, you know, the research development for Bescouted was massive. We spent so long finding, is there any apps, anything like it? Which, don't get me wrong, there was a couple that weren't, they don't do what we do. But for me, it was taking those apps and those websites, and it was kind of just not tearing them apart, but just looking at it and being like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that, and making a full list. And I still probably have the list upstairs now, is the list that I made and said, I don't like how they do this. I don't want to do this. And none of that applies to our platform now. And it's so massively important just putting enough time into research and development, you know, put as much time as it takes, don't rush it, none of that, you know, because that is the make or break for a business, like in my eyes, really.
Kian, I'm just so taken back by a young man like yourself, and that's got so much determination. Honestly, I really do, and I'm so glad that LinkedIn brought us together. I really am, because you are so. It's like, and I want you to make me a promise, okay? I want you, when you have got a massive app, I want you to come back and come onto our podcast to say, hey, listen, that was pretty good.
100%, yeah, for sure.
You are you've been an absolute joy to interview today, and you've given people I think you're going to give people a determination to be able to believe. And it's like, the one thing I'd say is that he's not had an easy ride. He's had to put hard work and determination in, and he believes in it, and he wants whatever it takes, he's going to do it. He's going to university. He's going to be doing this in the part-time and full-time. So he's going to be working twice as hard as anybody else. And I don't want anybody, I hope nobody can come back in years to come and say, yeah, you had it easy. This man didn't have it easy. And I hope you're an inspiration to others. And I hope this app goes from strength to strength, because, my friend, you deserve it. You and your team deserve it.
Thank you. And I think one thing I want to touch upon is the fact that right now we're nowhere near where we want to be. You know, I had goals that, you know, I still want to meet for this year that probably potentially won't be met. But it's that kind of stuff. Like, I'm not talking from a perspective where I've developed something that's massive and I earn millions and, you know, all of this kind of stuff. Like, I'm talking from a perspective right now where I've only just launched something, and, you know, I'm still, it's about having, I think, that determination, as I say, going back to the passion of I have the passion for Bescouted to kind of just keep working, because we're nowhere near where we want to be, and we're barely even off the ground, to be honest with you. But it's just, you know, I know where we want to be, and I hopefully we can get there.
Kian, let me just tell you something, okay? We've had some wonderful guests on the show, some wonderful guests. We've even had, it's like Duncan Goodhue was on the show, which was one of our, you probably won't know him at all, but he was an inspiration for me, and he came and met me in Qatar, okay? And I sat there and held his gold medal from the 1990 Moscow Olympics. Okay, his gold medal. And let me tell you something, okay? The podcast that we do is all about inspirations. It's all about people that are making a difference, okay? And it's making the difference for the right thing. It's not about money. It's not about glory. It's about somebody looking at things and saying, I want to help this certain industry, or I want to help these individuals, okay? And at 18 years old, you're trying to do that. And you've got as much right to be on this show or to be shouting from the rooftops exactly what you're doing. Whether you've got 100 where you've only got 10, okay? You deserve a right to come onto this show and shout about what you're doing. You're a credit to your family. You're a credit to those 100 people that's on your app already. And I believe that you're going to be huge. I do, really. I really thank you for coming on the show. And you deserve to be coming. And I'm saying, who are you to be deserved to come onto the show? I'm privileged to have you on today. I'm telling you that now. And I know that a lot of our listeners are going to be taking inspiration about what you said. The only thing I want to do before I finish up is just to wish you all the luck in the future for the app, but also your studies. And give the best of luck to your brother, and tell him and you keep on telling him to work hard.
Of course I will.
You've been brilliant coming on the show today. Thank you very much for sharing the
Thanks
time.
for having me.
Yeah, honestly, it's been a pleasure, and it's an honor, honestly. Keep up the hard work, and again, thanks for coming on the show. You've made my day. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Everyone, thanks for listening. I'm back tomorrow, and we've got a super guest, so come on, listen to us on Saturday, and we're going to have a great time. But I hope you enjoyed this show, because that was so many messages in there, and I thank you for that, Kian.
Thanks.
Okay, thank you everyone for listening.